Can you see me?
I see a blue sweatshirt. Come on, you're ruining my shot.
So we have a confession to make. We went on our Shakedown trip and we did a terrible job of filming it.
Yeah.
2,100 miles later, we're back. We've learned a lot.
Yeah, we did a lot.
We saw a lot, some amazing stuff. And we only caught on fire once.
So, success.
So, pretty successful. Let's go back to the beginning. So when we bought this RV...
We are in drive mode.
I can't believe we're doing this. Oh my gosh, we just bought a house on wheels. About a month after we bought it, we had family members say, we're going on a camping trip to Zion National Park in October. Do you guys want to come? And we were like, it should be done by then, right?
Sure.
Foolishness. The whole time we've been like, we'll make it, we'll make it. Well, fast forward to the last 2 weeks. Week 1, okay.
We can do this.
We've really got to pick up the pace. We can do this. Week 2 was bleary-eyed insanity.
It was exhausting. Okay.
You must be tired.
Yeah.
And then the last 2 days...
We didn't film anything.
We didn't film anything.
We were trying to scramble to get everything at least put together enough to leave. It's kind of slapdash and we have to like...
We should be ashamed of ourselves.
Yeah. It's not pretty, but it was functional.
Then we hit the road and we didn't film anything for 2 days because we were still scrambling. Ryan put the shower head in on the road.
Yeah, the first night, our first RV park.
And it leaked everywhere.
Yep.
When we stopped for lunch, you got lunch and I went over to Walmart and got a shower curtain because I was oh yeah, I never got a shower curtain. So now we're back and we're a little bit recuperated and we're really regretting not filming. Anybody out there who's renovating an RV, here's a piece of advice. Don't set a crazy deadline for a trip. Once you've finished the renovation, then you have to move in. And that's not like, oh, I'm gonna pack a bag with my hiking shoes and a change of underwear.
It was like moving into a rental apartment.
Yeah, and you had to realize like we need trash cans, we need towels, we need sheets and blankets.
Furniture.
Food. And our move-in was literally jumbled boxes of stuff thrown in.
So some of the things we learned, if you're giving yourself 6 months to renovate, give yourself 8. If you buy an RV with the thought of renovating it, do a shakedown before you renovate it. Because you want to learn how the thing drives.
Yep. How's she handling this morning?
Good. Just don't want our temperature to creep up because we're going such a steep incline.
Oh my gosh. Ooh, this makes me nervous.
Is this a butt clencher?
Yeah. Oh my!
You want to know where the minor problems are?
So, talk to me about some of the other things that you've had to fix.
Let's see. There's a little tiny pre-filter that comes with the pump for our recirculating shower. That thing clogged and I had to drain the whole system and take that out because I have a bigger one. So I'm just using the bigger one. Door latches on these stupid cabinets. It's like you go out at night to fix something, you pull on the latch and the latch comes off.
How many?
So far we've replaced 3 handles. We fixed 3 handles that have come off and 2 latches. 2 of these things. Because these things are plastic and they're garbage. Our black tank sewage valve is leaking. Ugh. Engine's been doing okay, I think. Woke up this morning and we had a small coolant leak. I did the oil change. Drain valve, the bolt on the oil pan was stripped. So I had to cut new notches for the wrench. We're hooked up. I hooked this up to water so we didn't have to use the pump. And the little corner 90-degree bracket that we've been using the whole trip decided to start spewing water everywhere.
Oh, cool. Shaking it down.
Now we know what's wrong with everything. We wouldn't have known all this if we didn't go drive it. Otherwise everything else has been working, I think.
I think that was the original plan. We were going to take a shakedown trip before we started the renovation, but then the Zion trip came up
We were like, we gotta get this done.
We gotta get this done. So we just started in. We completely forgot about the pre-renovation shakedown. When we finally got on the road, we looked at each other and we were like, we've already put all this money into it. What if our engine falls out the back?
We were having a problem where our battery system is 24 volt. So we have 24 volt to 12 volt DC converters so that all of our lights and our water pump and everything can run.
Where are you going with that wrench?
Fix the problem, hopefully. Getting a back feed from our alternator into our house batteries. I thought these things isolated, but they don't. So for now, I unplug them when we drive. It's just these go 12 volt or 24 volt to 12 volt to power all the house stuff, but it's back feeding. I thought they were one way and they're not. So I gotta find a device that is.
Huh.
And I'll just stick it here in between them. So that'll be fun. But for now, we just disconnect. I kept getting over voltage alarms when we were driving a lot. I gotta go get some tape and I'll tape that contact up so it doesn't accidentally arc on something.
Okay.
One of the problems we were having is when we were driving long distances is the alternator would backfeed into the 12 volt converter, and that 12 volt converter stopped keeping that voltage from backflowing to our batteries. I think technically they're supposed to, but they're cheap electronics, and so the system would get overloaded and would start backfeeding 24 volt into the batteries, which would overcharge them and they'd cut off. Like, we'd get warnings on our panel that your batteries are getting too high in voltage. The batteries are fine because they all have safety electronics on them and the circuit will shut off. I didn't want that to keep backflowing, so I was trying to figure out a way to keep power from backflowing from the alternator, and my solution was to get a diode that would block the power from backfeeding into the 24 to 12 volt. And so I put the converter on the 12 volt side, and I was like, great, that should be it. It should block everything from going back. And what happened is a diode also has a property where it drops the voltage. So the output 12.5 volts, when it goes through the diode, it was only 11.5 volts, and it caused all of our lights to flicker and dim. It wasn't enough current for the water pumps. The water pump sounded weird. So I was like, great, so that's not going to work. And so I pulled them off, and then I went, I bet I could put them on the 24 volt side, because it wouldn't matter if the voltage dropped on the 24 volt side, it would still convert to 12 volt, blah, 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 all that stuff. And now I realize the error in my ways, because as we were driving from Beatty to Death Valley, Sue started smelling smoke.
Do you smell smoke? And Ryan said, well, we did just cross the California line. And there are fires still burning in California. And for some reason I was like, does it literally
does it just start smelling when you get into California?
As soon as you get into California, like you pass through some sort of barrier and it smells like smoke? And Ryan actually said, are we on fire? But it was a joke.
Yeah.
And we've been through quite a few fires. You can tell that we're in the middle of fire season. We keep on coming out here and cleaning stuff, and then things get covered in ash again. Ugh. And it smelled like wildfire for a while.
And we went like a mile down the road and stopped on the side of the road, and Sue went to the back and said...
To the back to close a drawer that had flown open, and I said, it's kind of hazy back here, Ryan. And it smells like an electrical fire.
So I went back and looked at our panel, and it said our solar charge controller is overheating. I was like, great. So I went outside and looked in the compartment that has the solar controller, and the cabinet was on fire. So I ran in and grabbed a fire extinguisher and extinguished the fire out there.
This has been kind of a crappy start to the day.
I don't see how we can camp anymore. We're gonna have to just go back. And then we're just gonna have to cancel the rest of this and go. Standing on the side of the road, 800 miles from home, going, what are we gonna do? And we put the fire out, we sort of assessed our situation. Oh, crap. And we just have to head back.
There's nothing for it. Our trip is cut short.
I don't think there's any fixing this. And so we turned around and we drove for like 8 hours. It was like one of those, we have to get back because there's no camping now. We have no power. Mm-hmm. We have no lights. We have no water. We have no anything. We just have to get back. And we drove all the way back.
Ugh. So today has been quite the day for us, hasn't it?
And now we're just sitting here in an RV that the lights don't work. And we're just waiting on parts.
So in spite of all of the craziness,
we made it Zion National Park. Then Bryce National Park.
This is incredible.
We technically made it into Death Valley. The RV made it just over 2,100 miles, which is insane that we drove that much in 2 weeks. If you do a shakedown trip, do it a couple hundred miles. Don't do 2,000 miles.
Can I just say though, before the fire happened, everything was working really well.
Yeah, the recirculating shower worked really well.
The solar system was gangbusters.
We went the entire trip without turning on our gas stove. Like, we used an induction cooktop. Sue had her electric coffee maker.
And everything was going off of solar.
It was all fantastic. It all worked great.
Yeah, so that's really encouraging.
Yeah. So I think once we finally figure out...
Optimism!
Like, I'm going to have to go through the electrical system and actually figure out what's backfeeding from the alternator, because I thought I had fixed it, and obviously I didn't. But that's what this trip was all about, was to figure out what was wrong. And I feel like that was our biggest issue.
Yeah.
Was the electrical.
Like, there's definitely a learning curve. I was telling Ryan, he's such a smart guy. And I don't consider this a failure at all. Even though it's a bummer, he's still figuring this stuff out. And so I'm super proud of him for persevering and figuring it's a setback, but I don't see it as a failure. It's a cliche, but I feel like it's how Edison said, "Now I know one more way not to build a light bulb." I mean...
It just goes to show, no matter how much you research, no matter how much you've done something before, you always have blind spots that you have to work through. And it is the way that it is. Yeah. You're going to have something that is going to break. Now, I mean, it totally makes sense to me. I'm like, why didn't I see it? It's because that's just the nature of engineering something from scratch.
Yeah.
Stuff breaks. Stuff doesn't go the way you think it does. You have to mitigate the destruction and then fix it and learn from it. And the cool thing is I looked at the burn pattern inside the cabinet. And I could tell where the fire started, and I could tell what component failed. The solar controller wasn't the thing that caught fire. So it's like, you do stuff like that and you learn from it, and you're like, okay, now I know what failed, I know why it failed, and so we're gonna fix it so it doesn't happen again.
So we still have a lot of stuff to finish, some stuff to redo, and then we'd love to give you guys a full tour. Even with all of the little, like, incompletions and the trying to figure stuff out, the kind of half-done things, we really fell in love with living in here.
We really like it.
We're sad to leave it because we can't really live in it at the moment because we've got to finish it.
So, yeah, the next couple weeks are going to be stuff that we've done.
What's up? You got some big ears.
Hikes that we've gone on. This is really cool. Little change of pace. And then we're going to be back at fixing this place up and finishing it for real. And then we're going to do like a real shakedown trip. Like, this was a big shakedown.
The final.
This will be like, everything is in place, everything is working when we leave, and we're actually going to go somewhere and live in it for a while.
And hopefully nothing blows up.
Yes. So that's what we're doing. So we'll see you next time.
So I bought a shower curtain at Walmart. Saw a person flip a table in real life.
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. There was a Subway sandwich shop inside the Walmart, and there was a giant man who was very angry. I don't know what he's angry about, but he stood up and he had all of his stuff on his table in that little restaurant, and he actually grabbed the edge of the table and he flipped it across the restaurant. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go get a shower curtain.